Welcome to a new video in my home automation series, and today is going to be another review product of a Blitzwolf security alarm system, and this was supplied to be my Banggood free of charge for this review video. And I haven't really worked with security systems, and when I looked at the various listings, I've seen these wireless security systems for a long time now. But this unit came out of Blitzwolf, which I know from some of their smart home products. And when I found out that this is actually something which integrates with a smart home system, or well, it integrates with Tuya Smart, I thought, oh, this is something that I need to check out, because I wasn't sure how it can, integrate with a smartphone app, and what are the benefits that you can get by having a smartphone app or a smartphone link with this device. And by the way, this is called the BWIS6, and this came as a kit, and as you can see, this is what it is included in the kit. So there is a central unit, which is the keyboard, and it also has the speaker and everything in it. And then it comes with the various accessories. So you have two remote buttons where you can disarm the system, or set the panic mode. You have two door sensors, you have one motion sensor, you also have two key fobs, and a couple of miscellaneous stuff like mounting screws and double-sided sticky tape for the door sensors. And I think that's pretty much it. And there is also a very short user manual which contains the very basics in a couple of languages. And I have to say that user manual doesn't really do justice of what this device can do. So there is still a lot of features where it is not documented anywhere. I couldn't find any proper documentation on this device. So it is a question of playing around with things. And I still haven't managed to figure out 100% of this unit. So I think there are going to be a few things that I'm going to glance over, but at least you have a really good overview of what this unit can do. And just a few more specs about this unit. So this unit, because it can connect to your smartphone app, it has Wi-Fi built in, and it also has a SIM card. So it can work over the cellular network as well, but that cellular network is only for notification. So it can use the SIM card that you put in here to call you or to send you a text message if there is an alarm. Otherwise, for the app and the smart features, it relies on the Wi-Fi network. And all the components that you see here are communicate with the central unit using 433 MHz RF signals. So all the components are wireless. The one advantage of that it uses very generic 433 MHz RF sensors, which means that you should be able to buy a lot of accessories for this one. And even though this kit only contains a couple of sensors, I'm going to leave some links in the description where it shows some compatible products. So you can have different motion sensor, different door sensors for this unit. So you don't have to go for Blitzwolf, you can go for other brands, and it can be paired with a central unit. And on top of that, even the app supports different type of sensors. So for example, you can have water leak sensors and gas sensors integrated into this security solution. So not only that you can detect, somebody breaking in, or, movement within your house or opening doors, but also like, gas leaks or, water leakages. So it gives the use. So it makes this unit a little bit more versatile and much easier to expand from the basic kit that you have here. And also it means that because it's wireless, it uses 433 for the sensor devices, it uses Wi-Fi. So with a simple signal jammer, it is very easy to disable this device. But to be honest, the whole kit probably costs less than, what is it, $20 or $30. I'm just going to overlay the listing. I don't remember the exact price. So I would say this is not let's say a professional alarm system that I would, trust my home on it. But I think this unit could be ideal if you want to secure something around your house. Let's say if you have a shed for which you don't want to extend your home security solution to, but you want to make sure that you get alarmed if somebody is trying to break into your shed and steal your lawnmower. And I think probably this unit is ideal for that. And because it is all wireless, you can keep the central unit in your house and only just place the sensors outside. And some of the features in this one is also make it ideal just to that particular use. I'm going to talk about that later. And also it is in the Blitzwolf website, it is also marketed that, and also in the Blitzwolf website, it is marketed that maybe you don't want to use it for a classic security system, but also some sort of notification system. And let's say if you have an elderly relative, they can use the SOS button to create a, to send out a panic signal. You can disable the alarm in this unit, so it's not going to scream you for 3 minutes, but then with the SIM card, it's just going to give you a call. So if somebody falls in your home and they happen to have this key fob, they can press the SOS button and it's going to give you a call or a text message. So at least you're going to be alerted. So these are the kind of things that I had in mind. And because it communicates with 333 megahertz sensors and it also connects to an app, which obviously gives you notifications, to be honest, you can just use this unit as an RF bridge, because you should be able to pair, I think the documentation says up to 100 RF devices. So it would remember the code for those 100 devices. And of course, whenever there is an alarm, you are going to receive a notification, well, based on how you configure the device. So I think there is a lot of uses of this one besides the regular home security application. Let me do the unboxing and just look at the various devices. Oh, by the way, so this is the box. It's a, well, fairly big piece of box. You can see, you can pause the video and see the specs here. And yeah, there is nothing else on the other side. And as I said, you are getting all the different sensors and the central unit. Let me start with the sensors and the accessories first. So you're getting 2 of these RF key fobs. It has basically 4 buttons: arm, disarm, it's the home and the panic button. So I'm just going to talk about home in a little bit later. You also have 2 window sensors, and they just run on a regular coin cell battery, and they have the magnet attached, so they work as a simple sensor. And we also have a motion sensor. It also runs on a coin cell, a slightly bigger one. So this is the CR2450. These are CR3032s, and it also has some buttons on the back side. And you are getting some generic key fobs. So if you don't want to mess with codes, you can just scan the key fob, and that would arm and disarm the system. There is a micro USB lead. There is no power adapter supplied, but you do have a micro USB lead, a couple of double-sided sticky tapes, as I said, a feedback leaflet, and a couple of mounting screws. And just to look at the central unit, so you can see it's not really chunky, but it's you can see the the general size. You have a small LCD display, which I really welcome, because to be honest, we are in the 21st century, and even my home alarm system just uses a dinky 2-digit display, and you are supposed to remember codes and various functions by like blinking numbers. It's I can't understand why nobody is really investing in a simple screen and some UI, which are definitely no cost nowadays. And so if you switch it on, you get a like a decent display of the actual status of the alarm system and your date and time. I don't know how this date and time was set, but when I switched on the unit for the first time, it was showing the correct date and time. And you get some indicators on the top as well that it's connected to the Wi-Fi and the mobile signal strength. So it doesn't have a SIM card at the moment. So that's not going to do anything. And the state of charge of the battery, because this unit contains a battery. So even if there is a power outage, this unit should operate for, I think the specs said, up to 4 hours. You have a keypad, which allows you to monitor between the menu and enter codes. And you have a couple of buttons here. So you would press this to arm the system.
System armed.
And then it does the usual countdown. And if you want to disarm it, then that's the disarm button. And you also have a panic button. And by the way, you might hear that my phone is ringing, because it's sending notifications to the phone all the time that it has been armed or disarmed. There is an indicator light here, which sometimes it just glows either red or orange based on the state of the device. We have a microphone here. We can use this to record some messages that would be played when the alarm call goes out. And on the side we have a couple of buttons. We have a Wi-Fi button. I'm not sure why it needs to be included, because that just switches on the Wi-Fi, and once you're connected, well, it doesn't do anything. There is an outlet here which appears to be a 3.5mm jack. There is no documentation how it can be used. I'm assuming you can connect an external like speaker, which is going to work as your siren, but also there is a speaker here which is extremely loud. It's, oops, I just pressed the panic button.
System disarmed.
Okay, so it is extremely loud, and I just taped over a sellotape because it was just too much. So all the audio is coming from here as well. You have the main on-off button, and you have a micro USB lead, and that's for charging. And of course, normally you would connect it to the mains power, so it keeps the battery charged up all the time. And of course, okay, I'm getting alarms because of this sensor. So anyway, so it's going to keep the unit charged, and if the main power is lost, then it would automatically go to battery power.
System disarmed.
Okay, I must have armed it. Anyway, as I'm flipping around, I'm pushing these buttons all the time. And there is a mounting option here, so you can just remove this bracket. You screwed it onto the wall, and this is how you hang the device and fix it on the wall. So it is really easy to, there is nothing else on the other side. Okay, I'm getting temper alarms. And there is also the SIM card, micro SIM card slot here. And you can use any SIM card here because it is not going to use the data on the SIM card, so it's going to make just calls or text messages. So any regular 3G or 4G SIM card is going to work. It says in the documentation that it uses 2G, but I think that actually means that it uses it for just calls and for text messages and not for anything else. Unfortunately, I don't have a spare SIM card to test this functionality with. If it doesn't work for you, the only thing I would recommend is that you switch off the PIN code request on the SIM card, because in the menu I haven't found anything which was related to the PIN code. So you might need to disable the PIN code on the SIM card, and then it would work. On the user interface, well, I've mentioned the couple of buttons already. As you can see, it's a genuine Chinese product because they are using Times as the main font. And if you click on the tick mark, then it goes into the menu, and you can access the menu options from here. So you can see that you can pretty much set up everything in here. So you have your main settings, which is like, what is the exit delay, what is the entry delay, and the PIN code, password, what is the language. By the way, it supports a few on-screen languages that you can see here. And yeah, you can go back to initial settings. You can also set up the phone functions. So what are the phone numbers to call? What are the SMS numbers, or sorry, the numbers to send text messages to? You also have a full log where you can see what happened, the system got armed or disarmed. But anyway, all these functions are available in the mobile app, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I think it's going to be much easier to look at it in the mobile app. In the parts menu, you can see that you can set up remotes, which we have 2 of them here. You can set up detectors, so these are the sensors, and the RFID scanners. So, and as I said, you can add multiple of these, and you even have a few more other options. And by the way, this unit comes with all the accessories already paired with the unit, so you don't have to do anything to start using. You have a couple of Wi-Fi options. You go into this Smart Link configure, you select this option, and then you can pair this device with your Tuya Smart or your Blitzwolf app, just like a regular smart home product. And yeah, you can record your message here, which is going to get played in the phone call. And you also have a couple of timers here. Again, we are going to look at it in the mobile app, and yeah, a couple of options about the, you know, the Mac and the SIM card. And that's it. And so I already told you about the, you know, the various buttons. The RFID reader is behind the screen.
System armed.
So you can just arm the system like this.
System disarmed.
And you disarm it, and of course you have all the buttons here. So I can press the panic button on the remote, and now it goes to panic mode, and I can
System
just
disarmed.
and I can just disable it like that. So these are the, you know, the overall functions in basics, and I think we should head over to the mobile app now and see how it actually works with the companion app. So as I said, setting up the unit with the Tuya Smart app, actually, again, just like with any of these products, you can use the Blitzwolf app or the Tuya Smart app or the Smart Life app. I'm just using Tuya Smart because that's the one that I used to. So you just click on the plus button, and actually I wasn't sure which device type to start or to pick from this big list. So I clicked on auto scan, and I just followed the on-screen instructions, and then my device was added. And as you can see, it's I just named it Blitzwolf IS6. And once you go in, I think I do have a couple of, you know, options here. A couple of alarms here. In the system messages, you can also see that, you know, the system got disarmed. I also get an SOS, so like a panic message. So on the main screen, you can see the main status of the device. And by the way, if I start to arm and disarm it, then the update is almost immediate in the app. So it is really, really fast.
System disarmed.
And as you can see that the system was armed and disarmed. Of course, you can do it from here. You see on the main screen that there are basically four main modes: disarm and arm away and arm home and panic. The disarm and the panic is, well, self-explanatory. The other two, the away arm and the home arm, is it just depends on which sensors are going to get armed. So the home arm means that you want to arm the alarm system, but you are staying at home. So it's going to ignore all the motion sensors. So it's just going to use the door sensors just to make sure that nobody's coming in or out of your house. And if you are away, then of course all the sensors turn on. And this is why you have separate buttons on the remote as well. And on the main screen, you have a log. And as you can see, these are all the things that I have done. So I just used I just armed and disarmed the system using the key fob, and it says that it was the mom key fob because you can rename all these devices, so you can actually tell the log which, you know, sensor triggered the alarm or which RFID tag or remote was used to arm or disarm the system. You can probably see that for, yeah, I used the, oh yeah, remote tag number 1 dad, so that was the dad remote that I used. And if you go back, you can see, you know, all the stuff here. So these was all the buttons that I pressed on the front screen to arm and disarm the system and trigger the SOS or the panic. And the next one is the accessories. So that's where you can configure the accessories. And as I said, everything that you see on the screen was already configured. All I have done is I've gone into each of the detectors and the remotes and the RFID tags, and I just, you know, clicked on them and renamed them. So this is why it says, you know, mom and dad for the remote and also for the RFID ones. There is a section here for the wire detector, and to be honest, I don't think there is anything here. So this is probably for another model, but you can only have detectors and remotes and RFIDs. So these are the things that this particular unit supports. And if I go back to any of the units, you can see that you can rename the, you can change the name of it. You can also set the type, and this is why I said that the kit contains door sensors and motion sensors, but actually you can add, you know, gas, smoke sensors, CO sensors, vibrations, you know, water leak detectors. So there is a lot of different stuff in here. And hopefully the link that is going to be in the video description, which goes to the compatible product, you would be able to find these that you can purchase separately and you can add it. And as you can see, if I go back, there is a plus button, so you can add additional buttons. And that basically just puts the central unit into a learning mode, and it is waiting for an RF signal for a 433 RF device, and that it would remember that device. And this is how you can add a new device to your setup. whether it can be, you know, motion sensors or door sensors, or as I said, yeah, gas sensors, anything like that. And the last thing that you can set here is the zone mode. And to be honest, this is something which is not properly explained in the documentation either. I can make some educated guesses, to be honest. The delay is obviously something which, like, you know, the main door sensor should be set to delay so it doesn't trigger immediately as you open the room in order to, you know, put your password in or, you know, press the button. So the delay creates a delay before it starts the alarm. Other sensors, which, let's say, you know, it's not the main door sensor, so that would be, you know, in normal zone mode. So it means that once it triggers and the system is armed, then it triggers the alarm immediately. And also you have the two different modes, the 24-hour and the 24-hour silent. Those are the devices that would trigger regardless if the system is armed or not. So again, if you want to use this device as not as a security alarm, but a device which gives you alarms every time something happens, you can set this device into, let's say, 24 hours mode. So anything which happens to them, regardless of the alarm state, it's going to send you a message. Well, either the message on your app, or if you have configured text message or phone numbers, it will also give you a phone number. So there could be a few scenarios where you don't want to arm the device, but you still want to use these messages. And yeah, so that's obviously the 24 hours, and the 24-hour silent is for. Of course, silent would not ring the alarm on the main system, but you can also disable the main ringer in this central unit as well. And you can, you know, set any of the device to off, so they will never trigger. So these are the various options that you have in the zone mode. Again, I'm just making a few educated guesses here because the documentation is very spotty and I haven't tested all the various scenarios here. There is not much on the remote. It's just basically a name, and the same for the RFID. So it's really the detectors where you can configure the system. And going back to the main settings, this is where we find the general settings, which are not specific to any of the sensors. So you can specify an exit delay. We're going to talk about the timer a little bit later. You can enable the alarm sound. So that's the speaker inside. So if there is an alarm, that's going to sound as a siren. And I have to tell you, it's bloody loud. It is so loud that even when you do the, you know, button presses and go into the menus, this is already so loud. This is why I taped it over. But if the alarm is on, then it's like my ear started bleeding. So I just turned it off. Alarm duration, you can disable these voice prompts that you could probably hear when I, you know, arm or disarm the system. You have a low battery sensor, so that's probably also good to have. Alarm notification is the notification that you get in the app. You also have an entry delay, the countdown tick notes. So when you arm,
System armed.
you have these ticks. You can disable those.
System disarmed.
And yep, thanks for the notification. And you can have the call numbers. So you can specify all the different numbers that you want the device to call when there is an alarm. And you can do the same form for text messages. And I'm guessing on the text message you get some information of what sensor triggered the system. And you can, besides the settings, you can enable or disable the call or the text message as well. And you can set the language here as well. So this is why I said, if you really want to, you know, start customizing the system, I think the best is that you do the Wi-Fi linking and then you just use the app, because it's much more convenient than using the small screen and the, you know, the touch controls. And finally, the thing that I skipped over is the timer. And this is, you know, the regular schedules that you can have just like for any home automation device. So you can set a fixed time, let's say every time at 8 o'clock or whatever, 9 o'clock, every day of the week, not you, I want the device to arm away. So let's say you have this device set up in a shed, or you're using it for a shed. You don't have to remember to arm it every night. You just set a schedule. So it arms itself every 9 p.m. in the morning, and you can create another schedule which is going to disarm it like, I don't know, 8 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, it's a really basic feature, but I think it's actually a really good one for a security alarm like this one. So that's the timer. And to be honest, by this, we pretty much reached the end of the functionalities that you have for this device. Oh, by the way, you can go into the main settings here. So this is the small pencil icon on the top right. You can rename the device. You can change the icon. As you can see, it supports Alexa integration, but not Google Home. And actually, the documentation does control some keywords, how you can use the Alexa integration. So I'm just going to leave a screenshot of that on the screen now. But other than that, you can receive offline notification. You can share the device with other Tuya users and make them into a group. I'm not sure why you want to have a group for security alarms, but maybe you do. And that's pretty much it, just the standard features here. And because we are in the Tuya app, we can also use some integration option here. So if I go out and if I go to smart and I create a new smart integration, then we can quickly check what are the different things that this unit supports. And I have to say it's going to be loads. So if I select when the status of the IS6 changes, and the options here are huge. So basically they just enabled any settings here on the screen to be used in automation. And most of it doesn't really make sense. I think the main one that you want to do is, maybe in the mode. So let's say if your mode is home arm, then you can have an automation which automatically turns your lights off. So you just arm your security alarm, and then that would automatically shut down all the lights, or maybe keep one light on or something like that. And to be honest, I think this is probably the only thing that you can really use. I mean, there are some other options here, but they are related to settings of the screen. I mean, you don't want to, you can, but maybe you don't need to set up an automation when the AC power is restored, or when you add a new accessory to the device. I mean, maybe you want to do. There is not a clear option here which would tell you whether the unit is actually alarmed or in an active alarm, because there is this accessory state, but I think this is probably something different. So these are the various options that you can use here as a trigger. So I think probably setting the alarm is a good example. So you can just operate your lights, or the other one is how you can automate this unit to do something, and you pretty much get the same settings here as well. And I think again, probably the mode is something that you want to use here. So if you're planning to place this unit somewhere where it is not accessible, let's say not right next to your front door, then what you could also do is you can have a Wi-Fi switch right next to your door. So you press that switch, and then that switch would change the mode of the unit. So that would, maybe disarm it. So you can just like arm or disarm the central unit using another smart home product, let's say a switch or something like that. But I think because the unit itself gives you notifications on the various alarms and power losses and that sort of stuff, you don't really have to set up a lot of automation. And by the way, you have seen all these alarms popping up on the screen, like when I disarmed it and armed it. You are getting similar alarms, let's say when you connect it to the mains power or when it uses mains power. So that also gives you a really good indication if something is happening around your house. So I think that would be my review of the Blitzwolf IS6 wireless home security kit or home security solution, which has built-in SIM card support and also Wi-Fi. As I said, there is probably still a lot of functionality that I haven't explored or I haven't fully explored in this video, because actually this unit does a lot of things, and I think it can also be used in many different ways. Not to mention all the additional sensors that you can buy, which is not included in the startup kit. So that makes it even more versatile, like the leak sensors and the smoke detectors. If you are interested in this product, I'm going to leave purchasing links in the video description. But I think that will be all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.